The people have been very cooperative and polite.
Well, early voting is underway in the Silver States, but there are some laws at the polls that you may not be aware of. We'll take you through those laws. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Kennedy. But first, the FBI addressed the nation about threats to American election security. And it looks like we're going to get to that later tonight at 7 o'clock. First, so we want to go back to the voting story. We continue to see really record number of voter turnout as early voting continues in our states. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Kennedy.
And I'm Kristen Remington. Thanks for being with us. We're talking about more than 357,000 people have already voted in this year's general election right here in Nevada alone. That's almost 20% of all active voters right here in our state. And more than half of early voting has been done by mail, we've learned. Now, if you are early voting or waiting until election day to vote in person, there are some rules in place. They include not campaigning within 100 feet of a polling place. Paul Nelson explains Nevada's laws regarding electioneering.
Residents are lining up to vote at the Sparks Library to cast their ballots.
It took me less than an hour, and which is fine. I had no problem. I had the whole day off, so super easy, not a long wait. Instructions were very clear.
While instructions might be clear, some might not know about some Nevada laws at the polling places. For instance, you cannot electioneer, solicit a vote, or talk to others about marking their ballots, unless you're at least 300 feet away from voter intake.
I've maybe seen less than a half dozen incidents, and they're very easily handled.
Electioneering is allowed at least 100 feet away, like this campaign display just a few feet outside the perimeter. Many times the violation involves a voter who's wearing election paraphernalia.
So you can't have a shirt, you can't have a hat or something. So if we saw that, we would ask them to remove that item before they came into the polling location.
We didn't see any voters wearing clothing, buttons, or even masks supporting a specific candidate. Voters have different opinions on the law.
I think it's the most ridiculous, stupid law I've ever heard that infringes on my rights.
I think it's important. I mean, yeah, because if not, it's just, you're going to get people yelling at each other when you get closer to the voting line. And yeah, to have it away from there a little bit, I think is still fine.
Cell phones are only allowed to use for electronic sample ballots, but taking pictures of ballots or selfies at the voting machine is a no-no.
We've been advising people to, take your I voted sticker, go outside, maybe stand next to one of the vote here signs or something like that, and take your selfie there.
Covering campaign 2020, Paul Nelson, 2 News.